Well, good Sunday afternoon to you. Chris Hare here, the multiple-time world champion crypto cowboy, bringing you another update. And I figured since we did one in the roundtable discussion over in the crypto school today that we would do one on SUI, give you a good breakdown, kind of where I'm seeing where it's going, and figure out if the bottom's in or if we're making a run. Well, everything's kind of trying to make a run right now, and it looks pretty good. So we'll break it down. We're going to move on over to the crypto fear and greed index. Currently sitting at a 36. We started at a 34 yesterday, and last week we went all the way down to 27. What I've told you all along is that the best times to buy are in fear. You can see every time we drop into fear, we pump out of it. Same here. We went to extreme fear here, pumped out of it, and had a phenomenal run over over 2025. And then we dropped down in fear here again. We've came out of it once. Now we're back in, but we're moving out and things are moving up. So it's looking pretty promising. Moving on over to an altcoin season index, since we are doing SUI, kind of get an idea of what's going on there. You can see we're at a 29. We were at a 25 yesterday. I think some buying's going on. People are buying into the altcoins again. So that's kind of moving away. Everything kind of hedges to Bitcoin up until that point. And when that thing starts moving, it's kind of a pretty good idea that alts are about ready to run. What we really need to see is it come up into these lighter and darker blues, just like last month. We got up to a 70 on the index. And about a year ago in December, we got all the way up to 87, and that's when we had our face melting run. SUI ran, XRP ran, everything ran, and we just made face melting money. We'll roll on over to a liquidation heat map. This is what the market makers use to chase liquidity. Everything above price action is a short trade. Everything below price action is a long trade. And you can see we've got pockets of liquidity all the way down through this run that we've currently been on. But what I think is going on is this is finding support. Market makers aren't real interested in it right now. I think there's enough buying pressure to kind of keep it going for a little while, but the charts are going to break that out for us. So without further ado, we're going to get into the charts here. We're going to start off with the 4-hour. You can see we're sitting right at equilibrium, which if you're above it, you're bullish. If you're below it, you're bearish, basically. And you can see we found support 2 different times. Now, we do have this horrible wick that went all the way down to 57 cents. It was ugly, guys. Really, really ugly. Actually, about 55 cents. Yeah, 56.3. And then we reclaimed nearly all of it. So what do I think is going on here? It's a tricky move, but I think there's a little bit of upside in the tank here. We're actually on the 4-hour. Let me go to we were on the daily. Let's go to the 4-hour here. There we go. We've got a better idea. This paints a little better picture. So these 3 lines on my chart, these are moving averages. This yellow line is the 50 simple moving average. The white line is the 50 smooth moving average, and the smooth moving average takes a composite of the simple and the moving and puts a different line on the chart. I use these because they're very fluid lines of support and resistance that are very strong. So basically these lines take 50 of these candles and put a line on the chart. Like I said, they work as support and resistance. We are in the 4-hour golden zone, which is promising, and we're currently trying to reclaim the 50 smooth moving average right now. I like the smooth moving average because the charts respect it very well. You can look in previous runs. Every time we've broken above it or below it, we have some kind of decent run. SUI's just been kind of ranging for a pretty good while here until the dump we had 2 weeks ago Friday. But I think we were wanting to run up. We've took a pretty good beating. These things, like I've said, even when we're going up, nothing moves in straight lines. They have to cool off. They have to recoil that spring. And I think that's what we've done. The spring's recoiled. It's ready to pound out. Where do we go? Still remains questionable. I'm interested up into about this 200 moving average. That's the red line. It takes 200 of these candles, makes a line on the chart, works as another excellent support and resistance. If we can get out of the golden zone and get over this 200 moving average, our next targets are going to be around 453 to 562 up in this 4-hour extension. If for some reason we lose it, we will come back to retest $1.75 on down to $1.22. I don't think that's happening right now. I think there's a chance of it in the next few days, but I think they need to let these things run and kind of build up some steam, build some liquidity to the bottom side. The market makers can come after it. And we could just run from here. It may be one of those things that we just take off and go on from here. Moving out to that daily chart now, we were talking about it earlier. Let me get it opened up here where we can, there we go. But you can see we found support 2 different times at equilibrium here, and now we're kind of working our way up. What we really need to do, what I really want to see happen here is cross the 200 moving average and the 50 and EMA and SMA. They're stacked right on top of each other. Everything's kind of flattening out, which makes me think that we're going to go ahead and run up to them. Next targets on the daily would be 302 to 369. If we can get through that, we're looking at $7 to $10. This is where my question lies. Do we get over the 50 or do we reject it and come down and retest this 4-hour golden zone retracement? I don't, market makers like to fill out about 70% of these wicks. So if we do get some kind of rejection, I still don't think you can rule out 76, 77 cents. But that's another conversation for another time. This is going to get you through the next few days to a week. And then we'll come back and revisit. I set alerts on these charts. When they hit certain supports and resistances, I come back, I look at them, see if it's time to make another video. And that's kind of where we're at. But that gives you a pretty good idea on SUI. Just wanted to make a quick run through. Everything's kind of running, has been all weekend. So it's a pretty good time to kind of catch up on some of these, see where we are, see what the potential is. I think there's some potential for SUI, but we've got to be cautious that we don't reject somewhere along the way and head on back to the downside. So I didn't take any longs on SUI. I own a pretty big bag of SUI. Matter of fact, I moved some SUI in when Ethereum took its huge dump back in the first of the year. So I'm watching this closely, kind of trying to figure out where our top side end zone is, because I want to get out of this before we finish off. But that gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on. Like I said, all these charts are posted in the crypto school. You'll find the description there. We did an excellent roundtable today for about an hour and a half, and kind of did, and my buddy Frank Lewis, I get these two guys confused all the time. But my buddy Frank, he did some really good fundamental analysis on it, some things that I didn't even know. It was very enlightening. But we do those, I think, once every Sunday. You really want to check it out. The links to that are in my description. Come on over and join us. You'll have direct access to me and several other coaches. Also, links to my Twitter, links to BitUnex are down there. And I'd really appreciate you checking those out as well. But I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I think I've said enough. We kind of have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Oh, leave me a comment. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and I can't thank you enough for that. So that's the end of it. This is SUI. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chris Hare, the world champion crypto cowboy, and we'll see you down the road.